Hi there. My name's Sean Whitney. I'm one of the jurors here this year at the Victoria, Texas Indie Film Festival, and I'm going to do a little Q&A with, we have the director Skinner Miles here, and one of the stars as well. Can maybe come on up. Yeah, grab a seat. It's like the Johnny Carson.
Hello, hello.
So first of all, maybe introduce yourselves.
I'm Skinner Myers. I'm the writer and director of the film.
My name's Eddie Diaz. I'm playing Tito Juarez, the immigration officer.
So tell me a bit about why you made this particular film. It's got kind of two tracks to it in some senses, right?
When I was a kid, my father was a minister, and so we spent a lot of time in Mexico. And from the time I was 8 to about 13. And so my best friend at the time, Obed, would get me into a lot of trouble. And so I always thought that I would, sometimes maybe get kidnapped or get, we saw robberies. We did a lot of different crazy things, and his parents never knew because he had free reign. So at 11 years old, we would roam Matamoros, Mexico in his mom's Dodge Caravan at like 1 in the morning. So the movie kind of came from that, and then I was working as a researcher on True Detective Season 2, and I had a dream about an image. It was a young black kid holding on to a young Mexican kid, and on either side of them there was a Border Patrol agent pulling the black kid away and a cartel member pulling the Mexican kid away. And so it kind of stemmed from those two scenarios, that picture in my childhood in Mexico.
Yeah, I mean, the subject is obviously very topical right now. We've got, Donald Trump, that's his thing, to put it in the politest terms.
Yeah.
So I'm wondering, is that part of your motivation in terms of thinking about these issues?
I mean, a little bit.
Humanize them.
When I first came up with the idea, it's kind of always been topical, but he wasn't really in the forefront of what he was saying. But for me, I've always wanted to tell a story from the perspective of a young black kid who, and look at identity and loss of identity. So that was always on my mind. And some of my favorite films growing up dealt with that topic, and we're hoping to turn it into a feature as well, because we want to explore it more and get deeper into the backstory of how everyone kind of got together.
Yeah, I mean, it feels like a story that you want to see continuing on.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, that's the goal eventually, Yeah.
And how did you feel playing a bastard?
Well,
just for instance.
Having parents immigrate here, this touched me in so many levels where, as Skinner presented the script to me, I remember seeing an article. I'm an Army veteran myself, and I saw this article, and there was this, thank you. I think it was right when he said, I have this story. And he told me about the image he had. And I said, it's funny because I just saw this article where there's this veteran in front of the White House, and he's holding a sign that said that the government takes better care of immigrants than its fellow veterans. And it was interesting how he incorporated that my character was a veteran, and obviously my parents are from immigrant descent, and it just touched me in so many different levels. So when I had to play that bastard immigrant, it wasn't fun for me.
And so did you find it hard to kind of go to that place with your character?
I want to say yes, but with the help of Skinner and the way him and I hashed things out, it wasn't something that I was like having, oh, Skinner, I don't know how to do this. Skinner's really, really easy to work with, and he knows actors. So, there's times when I'm sitting there and I just bounce things off him. He's like, well, he's very calm, very cool, collected, and sometimes I think he's gonna tell me, well, no, just do it this way. But he'll hear me out, and then as he's hearing me out, it's like we're kind of working it together, and I've never had a director that actually helps me evolve with the character.
And, oh yeah, are there any questions from the audience? I'd be happy to take any of those.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. That was really loud. Thank you very much.
Have a mic if someone needs a microphone for questions. No? Yeah, riveting for sure. So.
It was, I mean, it was a very beautifully shot piece. It looked
Thank you. Thank you.
stunning.
Yeah.
You know,
My DP was great. Yeah, we met in film school, and we hit it off after first semester. And she's been shooting everything that I've done, and she will continue to shoot the future projects as well.
Nice.
Yeah.
And you know, you were saying how calm Skinner is in dealing with stuff. Was he calm when you were almost dying?
Well,
From set? We were talking earlier about how they almost drove off a cliff. It almost became a found footage movie because they almost drove to their doom.
well, you know, a lot of people have people that are not in the business have this perception that it's all cake and ice cream. And the amount of work that Skinner puts into his project, it's amazing to me how he can just keep going and going. I'm gonna try to put this delicately. He basically did this whole movie by himself in 2 days. And I would literally see him out in the desert wrangling up everyone to the point where I had asked him, "Are you okay? Have you eaten yet?" And he's like, "I forgot." So I'd have to go run and grab him, like, "Here, chew on this." And you know, and there were times when we should have been dead out in the desert.
I mean, the problem was that we only had 2 days to make the movie, and I needed 4.
Well, I mean, that's 10, 11 minutes, right?
Yeah.
That's a lot of 5 pages in the desert a day.
And we were way over schedule, and there were just a lot of elements. The elements were rough. The rattlesnakes, the heat, having a lot of little kids in the desert. We were about an hour and 45 minutes away from our hotel. No bathrooms. People were using, out in the bushes. So it was challenging, and I think being naive about that kind of got me through it. And I would never shoot it that way again. You know what I'm saying? Like I would never.
Yeah. Sometimes you're saved by your own stupidity.
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
Yeah.
100%.
Any other questions? Yes, over there. Okay, I'll come to you next.
This would be towards the end, but the ending result would be different in the feature, and most of the movie would be about the backstory. It would be 4 separate stories actually in the feature, kind of like Traffic, how they dealt with the drug issue. We would deal with it in a similar way in terms of the immigration issue.
Can we just squeeze in that one last question?
So Alonso Alvarez, he was the lead actor who played Obed, and Moa Polis played Lincoln. They're not here tonight, but Alonso's identical twin, his brother. They're 12 years old, and they work all the time. They're great kids. Parents were really gracious, and they did a phenomenal job. My casting director, Blanca Valdez, was the reason behind all that, so I have to give her a big thanks and big props to her. And was very fortunate to work with the cast and crew.
All right. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
And good luck getting the feature made.
Thank you very much.